Hey, welcome to the show. It's Wednesday. A whole lot of re going on the streets. The protesters are going crazy, and there's just a lot of weird shit in general happening in the world. Isn't it funny, though, how liberals are suddenly perfectly clear on what a woman is when it's time to make babies or have babies or carry babies? Oh, yeah, they suddenly become biologists. I mean, how can you tell men that they aren't allowed to have an opinion? I'm so sick of you sending me the memes and the statements and the little quotes. And listen, according to liberal logic, anyone can identify as a woman. I'm doing it right now. You can do it at any time. And so, therefore, all of our opinions are equally valid. I identify as being tired of all this horse shit. How about that? You asked the question, what is a woman? Well, the left would say, I'm not a biologist. I can't answer that question. Well, also, the left is going to say, we must protect the rights of women. So what is the left protecting if they don't even know what a woman is? What is it? They're going to tell you that parents have no rights to determine their child's education or even their sex. They're also going to tell you that parents have a right to kill their unborn child. Well, listen, it's a weird educational process you guys are working through. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, they say it's going to kill democracy. Well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg said Roe v. Wade was a mistake. It should have been left to the people to make the laws, not the courts. Anyone else as confused by Democrats and their philosophy as I am? We'll get into that today. Amazon is actually offering to pay women up to $4,000 in reimbursement for traveling over 100 miles to get an abortion. But what they don't tell you is they give you the abortion by actually making you work a 16-hour shift in the purchase fulfillment warehouse with no bathroom breaks. That's right. Joe Biden's, his memory, apparently, the loss of his, cognizant recognition has gotten so bad, he's forgotten what he believes in. In 1986, he supported the Hatch-Eagleton Amendment, which says plainly a right to abortion is not guaranteed by the Constitution. He supported this as a senator, but suddenly now he's a pro-choice hypocrite. We see how it works, Joe. Joe just needs to go back to the ice cream. He wasn't going to need an abortion anyway. There's a joke I could make right there. But anyway, Joe Biden is quoted as saying abortion should be codified into federal law. Everyone else was trying to figure out who taught Joe the word codify. Liberals are protesting Roe v. Wade. They're claiming the courts are going to outlaw interracial marriage next. It's interesting how liberals only remember minorities and that they exist only when they need to, fearmonger for a hot button issue. Maybe if they spent less time trying to murder babies and more time actually trying to enact common sense policy, these things wouldn't happen. Oh, yeah, and by the way, 85% of all Planned Parenthoods are within walking distance of an urban black community, so you do with that what you want. Talk about not caring about black folks or interracial anything. Hey, the Democrats are deploying Kamala Harris as their secret weapon to try and change the court's mind on Roe v. Wade. I'm sure they're just trembling in there anyway. Good news for Republicans, though, based on her absolute terrible handling of the COVID-19 virus, the border control situation, the Russian-Ukraine diplomacy. The best thing that could guarantee Roe v. Wade being overturned is Kamala Harris defending Roe v. Wade. Now, popular comic strip Peanuts, Charlie Brown, they're releasing a Mother's Day special, which teaches that dads can be moms, too. That's right, you heard me. But, they're still going to sound like wah, 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 wah. Charles Schultz has got to be spinning in his 22-year-old grave. Can we just leave Mother's Day for women? Could we, please? Bruce Jenner stole Woman of the Year from them. They took a heavy blow in the swimming industry and lost Brittany Griner to Russian detention all in the same month. Dads are dads, moms are moms, and if you're a single parent, that's a tough spot, but it doesn't mean your gender or job has now changed in order to fit the role. It's amazing how the left continues to insist that women be forced to compete against transgender athletes in the name of equality, but haven't done anything about making women on dates call their shots in playing pool. Those are real issues we ought to be addressing. Have you ever thought about that, though? Have you ever thought about that? The Puppet Master Mark, Crazy Chris Cruz, Super Chris Cruz, Wild Ass Chris Cruz, and Let's Love Brandon, all over there at the helm, driving the mothership Studio 22 into the nether regions of all things insanity. We're going to break it all down for you. But yeah, you ever done that? You ever played pool with a girl and she just bounces it off of 3 rails and hits it off of 2 balls and it goes in? And she's like, I meant to do that. Yeah, I don't know about all that. That's yeah, keep them in the pool. This is crazy stuff we're dealing with, Chris. Amazon, as I have alluded to, they're going to reimburse their employees $4,000 if they cross state lines to get an abortion. These people really want to kill babies. I mean, they really want to kill babies. You're incentivizing abortion. I mean, you're paying somebody. First of all, an abortion, I don't know, $500-$600, maybe ish, $1,000 tops. I don't know with inflation. I haven't kept up with the rate of abortion. But you know, as my buddy Ben Daniels, who also writes for this show, he sends me some stuff from time to time. He says, you know, some of you girls, y'all are such sluts that every time you pass by a Planned Parenthood, your phone automatically connects to the Wi-Fi. But if you're going to, one of the funniest memes I posted was Mike Lindell with a MyPillow over a girl's face. Supreme Court and hose. It had the pillow over her face. Of course, I use that to promote mypillow.com. Use promo code Prather. But Amazon, this whole deal, they're going to pay your travel expenses for non-life threatening medical treatments, including abortions. This moment in history, folks, is in many ways what I've been living for all of my life, because this is a fight I'm in for the next generation, for children, both unborn, those who are in the schools. You hear me talk about this all the time. It's a very strong passion of mine. It's a hill I'll die on. People really need to take civics. They really need to understand civics. They don't. This Supreme Court legislation, if that's the decision that comes out, of course, you know, the Supreme Court thing, it was a leaked document. Ron DeSantis has even called that political and judicial insurrection. That's why you don't put judicial activists anywhere around the court system, because obviously this was a plot, this was a plan to leak this document in order to create the buzz and the screeching people in the streets to protest, the violent mobs, the people out there getting arrested, and then, you know, trying to fight back the cops to de-arrest, and all of this crazy terminology we're coming up with these days. They wanted to create this because they know the midterms are coming. So let's count it down. So we had COVID. They had to get rid of the masks. They had to get rid of the mandates. They had to start repealing all of that stuff because there was no way the Democrats were going to get reelected in November if they didn't do something about COVID. Joe had to look like he was, you know, being successful in some form or fashion with both the vaccines and the boosters. But that didn't work. That didn't give them, to use a term, that didn't give them enough boost either. So then they tried to be tough on the whole Ukraine deal. Still, people are looking at that, scratching their head, going, nah, there's a lot of bullshit going on here we don't understand. And then now, you know, all these various things are doing. So now they had to leak this memo. They have to make it look like we extremists on the right who just want limited government be left alone and to speak up for those who can't speak out for themselves. You know, like unborn babies. Babies. Not protoplasmic blobs, not clumps of cells, not fetal tissue. Babies. Living human beings that are in a mother's womb. We speak out for that, and we're the extremists. Even Joe Biden came out and said that we MAGA extremists are the craziest, you know, most dangerous people out there in history, whatever. To wrap your head around the logic, and they know it's dumb logic. They know it's bad philosophically. They know that they can't stand up to this. They know they can't defend it. This logic that, it's just a fetus. It's not really a baby. If they found a living clump of cells on Mars tomorrow, they would spend trillions of dollars trying to protect that. But because we have such a prevalence of life on Earth, we take it for granted. And so, therefore, the most precious of that life, and all of you, by the way, were a clump of cells at one point in time. You were all protoplasmic blobs. You were all fetal tissue. And every person out there arguing to destroy that life in the womb, every single one of you, your mother chose life. Your mother chose life. There's not a single person listening to this program, watching this program, who was birthed by a man. Nobody. You were birthed by a woman. Your mother, God bless her. You say we hate women. No, we honor women. We honor women. And if you want to know just how much we want to honor women, you do not need to miss this week's overtime. This week's overtime, if you're not subscribed, go to blazetv.com/Chad. Use promo code Chad so you can save, but you need to sign up. It will be, in my opinion, the most spiritually contested thing I've ever said on an episode ever before. It will come under attack. Chris, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see some more tech issues coming along the way. I wouldn't be surprised if something didn't happen to try to not only shut that down, but just there's going to be something. I promise you it's going to be an attack. Because what I'm going to lay on you in our 20-minute overtime will be the most adequate, complete, and just powerful argument you've ever been given. I'm going to equip you with these arguments to not only defend life, but to defend women. To defend honor, to defend dignity, and defend dignity, and as well understand the value of human life. I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to do it on overtime because I want you to invest in this truth I'm going to give you. But folks, I'm telling you, this war on women, and it is a war on women, whether, as I alluded to, whether it's given Woman of the Year to Caitlyn Jenner, who's a man, and they hate him now, right? Her, him, whatever, they hate him now. Because came out and he said, well, I'm not radicalized as transgender, not going to embrace the leftist causes and philosophies, and is basically has a conservative value system. So they hate Caitlyn Jenner. So they were like, ooh, we wish we could take that back, sort of like I wish they'd have never given the Nobel Peace Prize to Barack Obama. But you have Leah Thomas, who gets in a pool with women, beats the hell out of them in competitive swimming, collegiate competitive swimming. You have all these things that are going, this is an attack on women. They say they believe in women's rights, but then they say they can't define what a woman is biologically. They say that, a woman ultimately, you think they love women? You think the left loves women? Let me tell you what you do, ladies. You moms go to the school board meeting and start speaking out against the curriculum and the stuff available in the libraries, the obscenities, the pornography. You go in there and you start calling out the school boards, and you see how much they love you. They'll have your ass escorted out there so fast you won't know. I'm telling you, they don't care about you. They care about an agenda. It's an agenda of death. It's an agenda of breaking in their ideas, the perception of the patriarchy. It is a way of taking the voice away from men because they call it toxic masculinity. How dare we? Listen, I tweeted it the other day. As long as they got a pregnant man emoji, then we got to say. Because you are already acknowledging that men can get pregnant, right? So based on your own stupid ideological ideas, policies, then by definition, men should have a say. And by the way, if I contributed to the life of that baby, right? And I've got children. Yeah, I contributed. I was there for the act. I got to say in the matter. We're going to deal with the issues. And I know I can hear some of you coming up. And by the way, this whole thing, if they overturn Roe v. Wade, that doesn't make abortion illegal in the United States. It doesn't. That's why I say you got to get a civics lesson, people. You got to understand, you can read the Constitution. You can read it backwards, forwards, upside down, inside out. You can interpret it. You can diagram the sentences. Nowhere does the Constitution of the United States defend the act of abortion. Now, let's call it what it is. It's infanticide. It's a murder of unborn innocence. Okay, let's call it what it is. It's a matter of convenience for people who just don't want to carry a child, raise a child, give life to a child. But beyond that, folks, you can still get an abortion in America. It's just going to put it up. You believe in the 10th Amendment? Do you believe in the 10th Amendment? If you do, then you should believe that Roe v. Wade should be overturned. Doesn't matter about how you define a baby or life or what's in the womb or what's going on or how you define a woman. If you believe in the 10th Amendment, then you should believe in the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Otherwise, repeal the 10th Amendment because ultimately the states are supposed to have the right. The federal government's not supposed to be some dictatorial overreach. So get with me, folks, on this thing. But Amazon, boy, they got you. We'll talk some more about that. Amazon, hey, you cross right there in that story. If you can cross state lines to get an abortion and they'll pay for it, then it stands to reason that no matter what, you can still go get an abortion. Can't believe I'm sitting there arguing for your right to go kill your baby. But anyway, That's what's happening, Chris. Hey, in these politically charged times, conservatives need to vote with their dollars. Minutemen Coffee, I love them. They're the coffee for American patriots. Constitutionally based, family-owned company, steadfast in their beliefs that all freedom-loving Americans deserve products from companies that share their beliefs without fear of cancellation or retaliation from the woke mob. Minutemen Coffee believes in your constitutional rights and puts their money where their mouth is. They're going to send you a copy of the Constitution in every single order so you can bring this important conversation to the coffee table to educate the next generation of constitutional patriots. Amazing coffee, small batched, handcrafted from family farms across the globe, roasted to perfection, and delivered fresh to you. I've tasted a lot of different coffee, but I'm telling you, I'm in love with Minutemen Coffee. Hits the mark when it comes to taste and aroma. You're going to love it as much as I do. You're going to get a full pound of coffee for less than most companies charge for only 12 ounces, folks. Minutemen Coffee, they got a special going that if you buy 3 bags of their heritage roast, add Trader Joe to your cart, and it's free as well as free shipping. Go check them out, MinutemenCoffee.com. And if you don't want that other offer, use just promo code CHAD. I spell it Chad at checkout, 15% off. Join the coffee revolution. Spread the Constitution. Wake up without going woke. We'll be right back. All right. Mark, would you play that very first clip, please?
I'm from Austin, Texas. My husband and I live here with our children. And 10 years ago, I learned after meeting my birth mother that I am the surviving twin of a botched D&E dismemberment abortion that successfully aborted my twin. When I found this out, I learned that there are tens of thousands of individuals who share a similar story to mine of being hurt by abortion, a similar story to my birth mother's, and that I am not alone in being an abortion survivor. What I realized was there was a name and a face and a story with that unborn child, with that woman who's contemplating an abortion, and that every single person should be given the chance to be born, regardless of circumstance, regardless of gestational age.
So, statistically, that doesn't happen very much, right? But it happens. So we have to validate that. I know all the Riris out there. They're all Riris now, Chris. All the Riris out there. You screeching hordes. You love to come back with this whole debate about, well, you've never been raped. Well, first of all, men do get raped. Men do get raped. We saw the Johnny Depp thing. We saw the we've been seeing the Will Smith thing. Men get abused. They do. Most of the time, they just suck it up and go on. Because what guy's going to come out there and say, yes, you raped me? Because you're going to be a laughing stock, right? Or I was abused or whatever. I've known a lot of men that were victims of domestic abuse. But that being said, they always want to come back and say, oh, women are raped, or the baby was a product of incest. Okay, first that's half a percentage point, maybe. And the rape is maybe 1% that pregnancy happens. And I remind everybody, and I'm just coming to you from a perspective of logic, that whenever someone is raped, there is a rape kit that is involved. Typically, if there is any pregnancy, it's ended when that rape kit is administered, right? So the chances of that happening are pretty slim. But they do happen, so I'll give it to you. It's statistically small, but it does happen. Well, using your logic of something that is statistically small but still a reality, let's revisit this lady that just said that she was the victim, was the product, or ultimately survived a botched abortion. Statistically, you have to admit that these people exist. This is a human being. This is an intelligent, beautiful woman who's lived a fulfilled life, plenty to give, plenty to offer. There she is talking. She's not being belligerent. Obviously, she's rational, commonsensical, and she was a survivor from a botched abortion. This kind of thing, so let's use your same deal. Again, if it's a statistical anomaly, it still happens, right? The point being, it's still a human being. It's still a human being. Now, I know there are those And I want to play this clip, Chris. You told me not to, but you wanted to save it, but I want to play it. There are those who are scared to death that life is actually going to find a way, all right? Jurassic Park. You're scared to death that life is going to find a way. You don't believe me? Play clip number 2.
And I talked to another woman who had tears in her eyes and said that she went up to the volunteers to thank them for their work, because she said as a woman who's an attorney who has the means and resources, that she'll always be able to get an abortion because she'll be able to fly to one of what they're calling the 13 safe states, places that might continue to have abortion, like California or New York. But for a lot of vulnerable women who are poor, women of color, they will be forced to have pregnancies that they cannot afford to terminate, and pregnancies that will then turn into children that they cannot afford.
Forced to have pregnancies that will turn into children they cannot afford. That was her point. I mean, not having sex is a huge deterrent from having a child. Again, throw out your statistical anomaly. Let's be gracious and say 1.5% of abortions because of rape or incest. Let's take the 98.5% of pregnancies that are actually done for the sake of convenience. It's a method of birth control. We know that it is because we saw all those ladies out there protesting, taking their Plan B pills. We've seen them do it on TV. Basically committing an abortion right there on television with a Plan B pill. So we know that you're celebrating the death of life. I'm not down with that. I'm just not down with that. And I'm going to speak out against that. No matter what comes against me, I'm going to speak out against that. And again, let me say, and I'll say it over and over again, I've said it on this program before, there are those who have had an abortion. Some of you listening to this, some of you watching this program. I'm not condemning you. I'm not condemning you. You did what you did. You made your decision. We all do that. That is not what this is about. We all do something in our life, and we live with that decision. Maybe you're fine with that decision, okay? Maybe you live in guilt because of that decision, some level of shame. I'm not shaming you. I'm just saying we all do those things. That's not my issue. My issue, folks, is these who want to push an agenda. It's an agenda of death. It's a narrative to be fulfilled. It is a quote, right to be held on to, but it's the right to murder your unborn. I'm telling you, this is a spiritual issue. I'm going to unpack it on the overtime this weekend, but let me tell you, it's a spiritual issue that's going on. And yesterday, Tuesday, I was grieved all day long. Like, I was just grieved. And the thing that was grieving me, just heaviness, just all day long. I even told several people, I didn't even get my day started till almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was just like, I was just praying, and I was thinking, and I was trying to read, and I was just trying to go through my routine, and I was like, I just can't break through this heaviness. And I started thinking, now, what is it? What is it? What is dominating my mind right now? And it was all of this evil, just this savage evil, people attacking each other. And these just people losing their minds over this idea that you have to be able to eliminate your unborn child. I was exhausted. Last night, by the time my head hit the pillow, I was exhausted. I was done. I mean, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, just psychologically, I was wiped out after thinking about these things because I carry this stuff, right? Like, it was almost like this huge heaviness sitting on my chest all day long. And it's like it breaks my heart. So this idea that I want to violate women's rights or anybody from the rights perspective or conservative perspective, no, we don't. We see this evil that is tormenting people. It's consuming them. It's an all-consuming evil that I'm telling you, it's going to lead to a broken life. It really is. And when somebody gets on there and talks about pregnancies that will turn into children they cannot afford, I'm going to tell this story, and my family is not giving me permission to tell it, but I'm going to tell this story real quick. You know, my niece, she got pregnant at the age of 16. And she went to a Planned Parenthood. Secretly, she was trying to get into the Planned Parenthood to get it done. Had a friend drive her there. And a man stopped her on the sidewalk as she was walking in. And he said, before you make this decision, can we go across the street and to a counseling service? She went over. They talked to her. They loved her. They provided an ultrasound. And she made a decision for life. And in that decision, she had my great niece. My great niece is now 18 years old. Beautiful girl. Been on the swim team. Just had her prom. About to graduate high school. She's gorgeous. But had that man not been there just to love her, just to love my niece, 16 years, such a vulnerable age, she would have gone in. It would have happened. And there'd be no Riley Grace. There'd be no Riley Grace. Folks, I'm telling you, we're a broken society when we justify the murder of unborn, innocent lives to the point where we'll fight each other in the streets over this. And we start looking at a map and try to figure out what states can we still go murder these unborn children. We're a messed up society. We got to get on our knees and repent, or we're all doomed. We're all doomed. Folks, what's happening right now should be grieving every one of us because the logic is so skewed. We have been given over to a tormented and demented mind. I'm in this fight. I know you're in it with me, many of you, most of you that are listening to me. And I'm telling you, the fight is coming. It's about to get real big. Well, it's finally happened. The Fed is realizing the dire straits our economy is in, thanks to our loose monetary policy. Apparently, you can't just spend trillions every year with no repercussions. Got to play catch up. The Fed's been raising rates and plans to do that 7 times this year. You're already starting to see those ripple effects in the housing market as people, their buying power is diminishing. Have you considered what could happen in the stock market if our economy just stalls out? It's coming, very possibly. Don't wait till that happens. Take some of your profits from the stock market right now, solidify them with gold from Birch Gold. Throughout history, gold has maintained its value better than any other investment in the world. Text CHAD, I spell it Chad, to 989898 for a free zero-obligation info kit on holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Again, text CHAD to 9898 and secure the gains you've made while you can. Join thousands of happy Birch Gold customers, their countless 5-star reviews, A+ rating with Better Business Bureau. I trust the professionals at Birch Gold. Text Chad to 9898. Protect your future with gold. We'll be right back. Welcome back. BlazeTV.com/Chad is where you want to be. Holy future Supreme Court ruling, Batman. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the opening salvos of yet another mostly peaceful summer. They just can't stop. I swear I'll leave the country by itself for 5 minutes. I turn around and only to find that you've lit the whole place on fire. As you know, we've been discussing over the weekend, Politico released a leaked document, and not just any document. It was an opinion draft from Justice Samuel Alito stating that at long last, after decades of existing, despite a complete lack of adherence to the Constitution, Roe versus Wade was finally being stricken down. Maybe. Now, it's worth noting initially that Politico released leaked documents, and the online response was crickets. Of course it was. I mean, you want to come out with leaked documents about Hunter Biden grabbing cash and spreading syphilis throughout the world. You're going to go to social media jail, you leaky MRFer. But hey-ho, Roe v. Wade's going to go, and all of a sudden everyone's dancing the Woodward and Bernstein all over the American socio-political stage, right? Instead, we as a collective have been rutting and rooting through this pockmarked moral landscape for decades, okay? When we've reached the point that people will publicly state that abortion is a sacred right in this country, there are no holes into which we might fall that should surprise us in the least. So Roe is finally on the chopping block. And we know this because someone in the hallowed halls of the Supreme Court decided that it would be a grand idea to leak that out to the American public. The likeliest suspect in this debacle would be a left-leaning staffer, of course. There are arguments to be made that someone in the conservative camp did it, but they don't seem to hold much water at this time. I think it goes without saying between me and thee that whoever did it ought to find himself, herself, or theirself in a shitload of legal trouble, because you just don't go releasing Supreme Court decisions in draft form. It undermines the fundamental purpose of having the Supreme Court in the first place. But hey, this story's far too big for me to digress into something so boring as undermined jurisprudence. Justice Roberts has launched an investigation into the matter, and we'll just have to sit on our hands and wait for the turd to float to the top of the punch bowl. Unsurprisingly, the left is celebrating the heroism of the leaker because they only dislike an illegal thing when it's being done to them and not on behalf of them. And braced against a hailstorm of cognitive dissonance, those observing the story with glee the next morning completely ignored the fact that barricades had to be immediately erected around the Supreme Court as soon as the news broke, because the selfish mindset of the American dilettante class has proven to us time and time again that while there may be no I in team, there sure as hell is one in riot. So what's it all about, Alfie? Anyone with any brains and access to a computer or an old set of Encyclopedia Britannica knows that the abolition of Roe v. Wade simply means a return of the abortion decision to the state level. Abortions will still occur. It's just you might have to go to a state with a giant homeless population, massive tax rates, and people with buttholes for eyes as mayors in order to get them. Now, what could the leftists possibly be bitching about when overturning Roe won't really affect their states at all? It's about power, folks. Always has been. Always will be. The left doesn't care about women. They don't care about women's rights. You know that as well as I do. What they want is the end of the filibuster. What they want is the packing of the Supreme Court. What they really, really want is to not only wrest control away from anyone else who isn't them, but to enshrine an intellectual and by fiat legal precedent wherein they can be the ruling party of the ruling class forever. So let's take a little time today to celebrate the fact that we've even gotten this close to the end of Roe versus Wade. We're a long way from the exsanguinating, the moral and historical leech that has clung to our necks for decades and has destroyed so many millions of lives before they had a fair chance to begin. The road is long. It's fraught with painful decision, division between brothers, and hard choices we must make individually and collectively. But by God, we're getting there one step at a time. I love you guys. And seriously, God bless. It's a mess out there. The rerees. Biden, as we alluded to in the opening, he voted actually to overturn Roe v. Wade, saying that women do not have the sole right to choose. Now I wish I could just say that over and over and over and over again, so that your little puppet that you keep propping up there, crazy Joe Biden, when he was a senator, he said that women do not have the sole right to say what should happen to their bodies. Wow. Play it.
I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy. And I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions. And they ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I think the vast majority of the American people think that can be done.
That's back when Joe was still a Catholic. That's back when they'd still let him do communion in the church. Right there. That's back when, believe it or not, a lot of Democrats had a little common sense. And it wasn't, being pushed by squad-level progressives on the extreme left. Tuesday, he said that it concerns me a great deal that we're going to, after 50 years, decide a woman does not have a right to choose. Well, that's radically different from what you said in 1973, Joe. Play it.
Look, think what Roe says. Roe says what all basic mainstream religions have historically concluded, that the existence of a human life and being is a question. Is it at the moment of conception? Is it 6 months? Is it 6 weeks? Is it quickening, like Aquinas argued? So the idea that we're going to make a judgment that is going to say that no one can make the judgment to choose to abort a child based on a decision by the Supreme Court, I think goes way overboard.
See how the Catholic tried to pop out of him again right there when he said at the quickening when as Aquinas argues, bro, don't be trying to pull Thomas Aquinas out, okay? That is in the deep recesses, bro. That goes way back to the 1973, Joe. That's the 73, Joe. That's what you actually believed, Joe. Back in 1973 when you said when you were talking about reducing the number of abortions. See, there's no wiser, no, and I get it. Everybody's going to come out and say, oh, you conservatives, y'all care about the babies until they're born. Yeah, you're talking to the wrong dude on that one. You're talking to the wrong dude. Not only a father of 5, but let me also remind you, I've established orphanages in third world countries and adopted children in third and second world countries that I still go visit on an annual basis. Kind of flies in the face of all that bullshit you're trying to say. Well, besides Joe, we are facing a triple barrel threat in this nation. War, inflation, food shortages, really building back better, aren't we? They're all tied together, actually. It's not looking good for our future. You know it, I know it. That's why you really need to have long-term food storage on hand. Go to preparewithchad.com. Stock up on emergency food from My Patriot Supply. They're going to provide food security for when everything else fails. Right now, I'll get you $150 off of their 3-month emergency food kit that gives you breakfast, lunch, dinners, drinks, snacks for 3 months. That's per person, by the way. Delicious food, good food, not bunker food. You can eat it right now and love it. Preparewithchad.com. Claim your $150 savings per kit. Your order will ship quickly and arrive in unmarked boxes. Go to preparewithchad.com right now. Save that $150 on each 3-month emergency food kit you order. World is going crazy. It's seemingly falling apart. Food shortages are next. Don't be a victim. Go to preparewithchad.com right now, and we'll be right back.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones.
Greta, oh Greta. I think Greta's done pretty good for herself, actually. I don't think her childhood's been stolen. How dare you? Apparently that is a powerful statement. So powerful that the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, who, by the way, is a whore, has the same words to say in this clip right here. Play it.
Well, we say, how dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body? How dare they? How dare they try to stop her from determining her own future? How dare they try to deny women their rights and their freedoms?
Montel Williams told you what to do with your body. Willie Brown told you what to do with your body. In fact, Joe Biden told you what to do. He said that you are a woman of color. So he basically characterized you based on your... How dare you? How dare you? He characterized you based on your body characteristics. And now you're vice president. So your logic kind of doesn't really stand up. Also, the baby's not your body. It's just you're feeding it. It's in your body. It's not your body. Had somebody on Twitter who said, well, how could you say that? It's not their body. Their organs, their heart, their lungs. Are you saying that's not their body? No, I'm telling you, a baby's not an organ. It is just kind of simple. Your logic falls in on itself. Had somebody else that said, well, if you believe in it so strongly, then why don't you go have a vasectomy? 13 years ahead of you, baby. Since I'm unvaxxed, I'm thinking about having it reversed, though. Y'all know my theory. I'm valuable stuff. Yeah, you're going to send out Kamala Harris to go fight it. Yeah, what could go wrong, Kamala Harris? She's an idiot. Then, of course, there was Eric Swalwell. He's the one who said that Republicans want to ban interracial marriage after abortion. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe that'll keep you from banging Chinese spies, Eric. Maybe we ought to just limit you to what you're doing. And then, of course, there was what was it? The Duarte, the chick, the Amanda Duarte, who I had to go look up because I didn't know who she was. And even when I looked her up, I still didn't know who she was. She's an actress, and she put the thing out about wonder how these white supremacist lawmakers would feel if their little white daughters were raped and impregnated by black men. Ah, boy, you just let that racial dog whistle come right on out, did you? She deleted her whole Twitter account over that. And then she came back and she said, I didn't mean, of course they never mean it. But she sat there and mulled that bullshit around in her head for a little while before thinking it was a good idea to put it out there for the public, ether sphere to read it. Deleted the account. Honey, you got to hold that one. You got to hold that one. That is a racist tweet, sugar. And they just can't help but expose themselves. If you give them enough rope, they'll hang it. I mean, I'm telling you, they will. And whoever leaked that, I'll be honest with you. Whoever leaked that, Chris, that deal, it should be a public hanging. It should be a public hanging. Just the way I feel about it. That's a traitor. That's a traitor to the United States right there. I'm sure you'll come at me for that. Whatever. Play me a TikTok, Chris.
So the conversation I talked about in my last video is a lot like a lot of the conversations I have about queerness and transness with my kids. Because I work in a conservative area and I'm an out non-binary trans teacher, I have to tread very lightly for fear of losing my job. And so a lot of times I put it in terms of hypotheticals with the kids. I say, some people like to use this. When I talk about my title, mix, I say, it's just a third alternative to Mr., Ms. that some people like to use. I let them kind of draw their own conclusions when it comes back to me, while also keeping it general enough to not bring the heat on myself.
I don't want you to abort your children, but you might think about it before you have some when you're going to send them to school with this kind of teacher right here. Because, damn. And by the way, when she says I'm a dominant queer, that's a bull dyke, okay? That's what she meant by that. Let's just call things as they are. You can dress it up however you want, but it doesn't change the characteristic of what you're doing, and you're talking to kids. And by even telling people that you're a dominant, what you're doing is you're saying you just can't control your personality and what comes out of your mouth. So you're actually technically looking for ways to have this communicad with a bunch of underage kids, with a bunch of children who have no business knowing what you do in your bedroom, okay? Just be the teacher. Be the teacher if you can. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're wasting my children's precious time and my taxpayer dollars when you could be educating them on something that's going to benefit them in life, not with whether you're a top or a bottom. We'll be right back. Just let me clarify one more time. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, you can still get an abortion. The issue is not legislative, folks. It's spiritual. This is going to be a spiritual battle from now on. WatchChad.com is where all the fun stuff is. I'm headed to Naples, Florida. I got to book flights. Headed to Naples, Florida. Going to do 2 shows. Bobby Sausalito is going to be there with me. My buddy Anthony Ray, Conservative Ant, he's going to be hanging out with us as well. So Off the Hook Comedy Club, come check us out. WatchChad.com has the info. Don't forget to sign up. And do not miss overtime. BlazeTV.com/Chad. Tomorrow we're going to get off the rails with a special guest. We love you. God bless you. See you then. Bye.